Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so my good friend James Wisdom put out in one of his videos that he wanted to talk about the zoo. I have not been to a zoo in 9 years. Not to say I dislike the zoo, but more that what's the point? I mean, I'm not really in the shape to do a lot of walking and there aren't a lot of rides. So as cool as it is to see a giraffe in person, there are pictures of them. So I don't have much to say about the zoo other than a zoo should treat its animals with respect, and people who go to the zoo should treat the animals with respect and don't jump into lion cages. But there was a situation recently where, there is a bug over there, where I came into contact with animals. I was at the Los Angeles County Fair, and I saw a chicken. This was not the only animal, but this chicken here, this chicken happened to be at the fair, and I was explaining to someone the merits of taking appropriate pictures. It was not merely enough to take a picture of a chicken. This particular chicken was very photogenic. It was standing there, sitting there, and being a chicken standing out from the other chickens. So I pulled out my phone to take a picture, and I took a picture of the chicken, and then I took another picture of the chicken, and then the chicken flew on my phone. A chicken that flew. So yes, this was somewhat surprising. And then, me being me, the first thing I did, because I'm me, is show this chicken to the nearest child. I don't know that kid. Never seen him before, didn't ask his name, probably should have, but I don't know that kid. But I showed him a chicken. It was something of the chicken was not supposed to do that. So here I am with that chicken, showing him off to children, more than one child. But this is kind of my problem, is that when I was a child, my mother was an adult, obviously. When I was a child, my mother taught biology, so she did things like take me to reptile fairs and show me animals. So when I have an animal, one of my instincts is literally to show that animal to the nearest child. I used to have this big black dog, Doberman Pinscher, and his name was August, and I loved my August, and I would walk him through the neighborhood, and children would stop, and I'd let the children pet the dog. And of course, I had trained this dog properly so he would never attack a child. He was perfectly safe. In the 12 years I had him, he never attacked 11 years I had him, and he was 8 months old when I got him. So he was 8 months old and had attacked a child. So I don't know exactly the details, but I had gone out and I had trained him so perfectly well that he never would attack a child. And I actually, for the first 6 years I had him, when I showed him to children, I would put my arm around him so he couldn't, because I wasn't sure how he was going to behave. But after I got a very good understanding for the temperament, this is a big dog. I learned to take this animal out with children, and now I've gotten off topic. But yes, animals at the fair. So I like to show animals to children. Big dog, animals at the fair. Well, after the chicken incident, I went to the park rangers had an exhibition, California National Parks, and they had snakes. And of course, the person I was with loved snakes, so they got to play with a snake, and I got to play with a snake. And of course, the first thing I did there was begin showing the snake to children. And this was the cuddliest snake you would ever want to meet. It was a gopher snake, and it curled up my arm, and it curled around my neck, and it massaged my neck. It was the strangest experience to be massaged by a snake. And the biologist woman who was talking to me, I spoke to her for almost an hour, telling her all the various things I knew about biology, at which point she complimented me on my intelligence and knowledge in biology. So this is a woman with a doctorate. Here I am with a bachelor's degree in psychology, And she was like, wow, you know a lot about reptiles. That's really surprising, because the average member of the public doesn't know enough about reptiles. For example, one of the things I brought up is there are people that believe that crocodilians, alligators and crocodiles, should not be considered reptiles. And you look at it, well, it pretty much looks like a big lizard to you. But here's the thing. First of all, they're not really big lizards. They're very different animals. And second of all, there is this thing out there called the Tree of Life. And there is a branch that includes reptiles, crocodilians, and amphibians, frogs, toads, and other such things. So over here on this branch, you have crocodilians. And then the branch goes in the other direction, and you have, jutting off in one direction, you have amphibians, and jutting off in another direction, you have reptiles. So, ironically, whereas we consider a crocodilian to be related to a reptile, a frog is actually more related to a lizard than a crocodile is. So I found that fascinating things to me. That's one of those things I like to talk about when I talk to biologists, and the biologist was like, yeah, I'm surprised you know that. Which, maybe she was saying, gee, you're not as stupid as the average person. You're still pretty stupid, but just not that stupid. So, anyway, that's my experience with animals. If I go to the zoo, I don't know enough about the animals, so I don't go to the zoo often. But if I lived near a zoo, I would probably go to the zoo and learn about individual animals and be like, oh yes, this animal, and that would be me. So yes, James, I hope this video was not... Okay, sorry about that. Camera ran out of batteries. In any case, so to conclude this segment, why don't you tell me down in the comments below, what's your favorite animal story? I'd like to know. I'm Richard Leland Neal.